The Xylar Dominion had ruled the stars for thousands of years. Their fleets crossed the galaxies. Their laws bound hundreds of species, and their cities floated above planets like crowns of shining glass. Among those countless worlds, one race was not respected, not honored, and not even considered equal. They were called humans. No one remembered when humans had first entered the Dominion. Some said they had been refugees from a forgotten war. Others believed they were survivors from a ruined homeworld. Whatever the truth, the Xylar had turned them into laborers, workers who built machines, cleaned reactors, and repaired damaged ships. They were not chained by metal, but by rules. Their wages were tiny, their voices ignored, and their futures decided by the overseers who watched them. On the orbital factory Station 19, high above a green gas giant, the humans worked without rest. The air was filled with the hum of machines, the smell of hot metal, and the faint vibration of endless engines. Among them worked Leora Dane, a 30-year-old human engineer. Her hands were rough from years of repairing machines, her brown eyes sharp and curious. She had always asked too many questions, something the overseers disliked. But questions were what made her human. Dreams among the machines every night. When the station lights dimmed, the humans gathered in a corner of the maintenance bay. They sat near broken parts and shared quiet stories. Some spoke of Earth, their lost home, a place no one had seen but everyone dreamed of. Others told of faraway colonies where maybe, just maybe, humans lived free. Leora often listened more than she spoke. She kept a small notebook hidden in her uniform, filled with sketches of machines, energy cores, and starship systems. She understood things most workers ignored: how the Xylar machines breathed energy, how they communicated, and how fragile even their perfection could be. Her closest friend, Terran, teased her often. "You'll get caught one day," he whispered as they worked. "The overseers don't like dreamers." "I'm not dreaming," she replied with a faint smile. "I'm learning." "Learning what?" "How things break," she said. Terran laughed quietly, not understanding what she meant. But Leora did. A strange Discovery 1 long shift. Leora was assigned to repair a malfunctioning shipment drone deep inside the cargo storage. The area was rarely visited. Only robots moved there. While removing an old energy conduit, she noticed something strange behind the metal wall. An older structure, hidden beneath layers of newer panels. Curious, she pried it open and found a small compartment. Inside lay a metal case coated with dust. The label was faded, but the word Terran was still readable. Her heart raced. Terran meant human. Inside the case was a compact device, smooth and circular, with human letters carved on its surface. Project Dawnlight. She touched the control pad gently, expecting nothing. But the device came alive, glowing faintly. It emitted a soft sound, not mechanical but musical, like a hum that matched her heartbeat. Lines of light moved across its surface, showing symbols she didn't recognize. A calm voice spoke from the device, old but clear. "Prototype energy pulse generator. Status dormant. Awaiting human command." Leora froze. It spoke her language. The secret meeting that night. Leora met Terran and two others she trusted. Mira, a communications worker, and Joran, a pilot in training who cleaned shuttles for the overseers. When she showed them the device, their eyes widened. "It's human-made," Leora said quietly, "and it's powerful. It can release an energy pulse that disables machines for a short time. I read the system files." "Disable?" Mira asked, surprised. "You mean like turn them off?" "Yes, it doesn't destroy. It just makes machines sleep for a while." Terran frowned. "That's impossible. Xylar tech is too advanced." "Maybe," Leora said. "But the Xylar copied most of their tech from others. They only pretend it's their own. They believe humans are simple workers." "That's their mistake." The group sat in silence. They knew what this could mean, but they also knew the danger. The overseers punished anyone caught hiding technology. Yet in that small room under the humming lights, something changed. For the first time, hope did not feel like a dream. It felt real, testing the device. The next few days passed slowly. Leora worked her usual shifts, but secretly studied the device during her breaks. She learned how it stored energy and how it could be activated. It needed to charge from the station's power grid, but only for a few seconds. Finally, she decided to test it in the old cargo bay, where unused drones were stored. Mira watched the entrance while Leora placed the device on a table. Taran stood near a group of drones. "Ready," he whispered. Leora took a deep breath and pressed the activation pad. The air vibrated softly. A faint blue wave spread out from the device like ripples on water. Every machine in the room stopped at once. The lights flickered, then returned to normal, but the drones remained still, their lights dark. It worked. Taran stared in disbelief. "They're asleep." Leora smiled for the first time in years. "Yes, asleep," Mira whispered. "If we can do this here, we can do it anywhere." Leora nodded. "We can protect ourselves, maybe even free others." A risky plan word of the experiment spread quietly among trusted humans on the station. They didn't speak loudly, only in whispers while working or eating. The idea grew. If one station could act, maybe all could. They planned carefully. Their goal was not to harm, but to awaken, to show the Dominion that humans were more than slaves. Leora decided the first step would be small: disable a supply convoy and take control of its communication systems. With those, they could send a message to other stations. For that, they needed perfect timing. The next convoy was due in 3 days. The convoy arrives. When the day came, everything appeared normal. Overseers barked orders, ships docked, and workers moved like usual. But under the calm surface, human eyes met with silent understanding. Leora hid the Project Dawnlight device in a maintenance crate near the docking port. Taran handled the power connections, pretending to fix a cable. Mira stayed in the communication room, ready to send the signal. As the convoy ships lined up for inspection, Leora activated the device. A gentle wave of energy passed through the bay. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then the lights flickered, the hum of engines faded, and the machines stopped. The alien overseers panicked, shouting orders, but the humans remained calm. They used the few seconds of silence to reroute the communication link and upload their message. When the systems came back online, everything looked normal again. The overseers suspected a power glitch and quickly resumed work, but the message was already sent, quietly, invisibly, through the Dominion's own network. It said, "We are humans. We are awake. We remember who we are. The chains are breaking." The spark. Across the stars on distant stations and mining colonies, humans received the hidden signal. Some didn't understand it at first, but others did. They started to whisper, to look up at the stars differently, to believe that change was possible. The Xylar communication offices noticed strange traffic in their systems, but couldn't trace the source. When a Xylar captain reviewed the message code, he laughed and said, "Humans? They can't even control their own air filters." But others weren't laughing. The Dominion's High Council began investigating. To them, a small failure in order was not just a mistake, it was a threat. They sent an urgent message to Supreme Commander Vryn, head of the fleet. "Find the cause," they ordered. "If humans are behind this, remind them of their place." Leora's choice that night. Leora stood by the viewing window of the station, watching the planet below. Its clouds swirled in green and white patterns. She thought about Earth, a world she had never seen but felt connected to somehow. Taran joined her. "The overseers are nervous. I think they know something's up." "They'll come," Leora said calmly. "But we've already done it. The message is out there." He hesitated. "Do you think others will believe it?" "They will," she replied. "Because they want to. Because hope spreads faster than fear." For a while they stood in silence. The hum of the station was like a heartbeat, steady and alive. Leora looked at the stars. "We've been quiet for too long. The Dominion thinks we're tools, but they don't understand the one thing they can't program: our minds." The calm before the storm days passed. The station remained under observation. Extra patrol ships arrived. The overseers grew stricter, but the humans did not panic. They continued to work, quietly preparing. In hidden corners, they studied, learned, and shared what they knew. Mechanics taught others how machines worked. Communication workers practiced code encryption. Even cooks and cleaners joined, offering help in small but important ways. The humans had become a network of thinkers, each one a spark in the growing fire of change. One evening, a message arrived through Mira's console. It was short and simple, coming from a distant colony. "We heard you. You are not alone." When she showed it to Leora, tears filled her eyes, not of sadness but of pride. The ending of Part 1 far away in the capital world of the Xylar Dominion, Supreme Commander Vryn stood before the grand holographic map of the galaxy. Several human colonies were highlighted in red. He frowned, his silver skin reflecting the dim light. How can a species with no fleet cause this much trouble? A junior officer replied nervously. We believe they are communicating through our own systems, sir. The humans, they're organizing. Then stop them, Vryn said coldly. Remind them what order means. As his fleet prepared to move millions of humans across TA, Lysera studied the small packet, sniffed it, then looked at him again. Their eyes met through the barrier. She seemed uncertain, as if waiting for his approval. Ethan nodded encouragingly. She brought the food to her lips, tasted it, and for the first time since her capture, she smiled. It wasn't a large smile, but it changed everything about her face. She looked alive. Ethan grinned. Guess you liked it, huh? She blinked slowly, as if trying to understand. Then she placed her hand against the barrier. It hummed softly under her touch. Ethan hesitated, then raised his own hand, placing it on the other side of the energy field. There was a faint vibration, a tingling warmth, and for a brief moment he felt a connection, like two souls separated by a wall of light. But then, an alarm blared through the hall. Red lights flashed. Unauthorized interaction detected, the computer's calm voice announced. Containment breach protocol activated. Ethan jumped back. No, wait! It's not a breach. The doors around the chamber locked down automatically. He turned toward the exit, but the gate behind him sealed shut with a metallic hiss. The AI had placed the entire section in lockdown mode. Inside the cage, Lysera stood suddenly. The lights reflected across her silver skin as she rose to her full height, towering above the barriers. Ethan stumbled backward in awe and fear. Then something strange happened. Instead of retreating or turning angry, Lysera moved closer to the edge of the cage, her eyes fixed on him. She reached out and pressed both hands against the energy wall, her expression concerned. The hum of the field changed tone. It wasn't violent, it was softer, as if responding to her emotion. System override not recognized, the AI droned. Intruder containment in effect. Ethan tried the console again. Computer disengage lockdown. Authorization Ryler E7. Access denied. He sighed and rubbed his forehead. He was trapped. Then he noticed something that made his heart race even faster. The blue shimmer of the energy barrier was weakening near the base. Lysera crouched down, placing her hands near the flickering spot, and looked directly at him. Her voice was soft and melodic, though he couldn't understand the words. Still, her tone was clear. She wanted him to stay still. He swallowed. You're helping me? Lysera tilted her head again, then pointed toward the ceiling where sparks were starting to fall. The malfunctioning energy system had overloaded from the alarm response. She moved slightly, shielding him from a falling burst of light. Even though the field separated them, her instinct was protective. Ethan's fear slowly turned to amazement. Thank you, he whispered. Lysera blinked again, her glowing eyes gentle. She tapped her chest lightly, then touched the barrier between them as if saying her name. Listen, sub. Ethan smiled softly. Lysera, that's beautiful. The AI's voice interrupted again. Security drones approaching. Ethan groaned. Oh, great. The drones were harmless maintenance units, but their programming would keep him in the chamber until a full investigation. He was now officially contained with the alien. He looked back at Lysera. She seemed to understand what was happening. When he stepped toward the barrier, trying to signal that he needed to leave, she shook her head slowly. Her eyes softened and she lowered herself again to sit on the floor. Then she reached out and motioned gently for him to sit too. Ethan hesitated, but something in her calmness eased his fear. He sat for a long moment. They just looked at each other. No words, no sounds, just two beings on opposite sides of a shimmering wall of light. He noticed her expression wasn't wild or cruel. It was curious. She pointed to him, then to herself, repeating softly, Lysera. Ethan smiled. Ethan, he said, placing a hand on his chest. Ethan. Then, she repeated, her voice careful but surprisingly accurate. His heart lifted. She was learning. She was intelligent. Hours passed before the lockdown was lifted. But when the doors finally unlocked, something unexpected happened. Ethan stood ready to leave, but Lysara pressed her hand against the barrier again, shaking her head slightly. He froze. "You don't want me to go?" Her eyes glowed faintly. The field flickered, showing she was exerting energy to maintain some kind of hold. The computer registered her movements as interference. "Warning," it said. "Containment field fluctuation detected." Ethan backed up nervously. "Hey, I'll come back, all right?" "I promise," but Lysara didn't move her hand. Her voice, soft and deep, echoed through the field, forming a single clear word in English, perhaps one she had learned from listening. "Stay." Ethan stared at her, wide-eyed. He didn't know whether to be amazed or afraid. The energy field glowed brighter, and the air around him pulsed with strange warmth. He realized she was not trying to harm him. She was trying to protect him. But from what? He glanced toward the control screen. A message blinked across it. "Containment field instability. Possible system failure imminent." The realization struck him. Lysara wasn't holding him back for selfish reasons. She was warning him that the chamber was unstable. If he had run out too quickly, the field could have collapsed, causing a dangerous energy surge. She saved him again. As the hum of the system slowly steadied, Lysara relaxed. She sat down once more, eyes calm, as if satisfied that he was safe. Ethan exhaled shakily, placing a hand on the glass. "You're not what they think you are you?" Lysara tilted her head, mimicking his gesture, pressing her hand to his again through the glowing wall. For the first time, Ethan realized that maybe, just maybe, this so-called monster was the most human soul on the entire station. And as the lights dimmed and silence filled the corridor, one thought echoed in his mind. They warned she would kill a